So I would like to talk about uh, my personal experience and issues when it comes to social interactions. And I would like to start by saying that, in my opinion, when a person goes through a very long period of being isolated um, and not having anyone they can talk to, the main issue with it is not actually the pain, suffering, and despair they feel while it is happening. But yeah, the biggest issue is actually, uh, what happens once the spirit is over. Because, eventually when you finally have good, kind people around you and, you have people that care about you and, you can technically, like, form, like, good, positive, supportive, meaningful connections. Well, by this point, it can, unfortunately be kind of too late to actually, well, establish those connections, because from the point of view of the person who has gone through this isolation period, well, you kind of have two potential routes you could take. The first route is, to basically let out all of the bottled up feelings and, basically just let out all of the trauma and sadness. But this is a horrible choice because it can be very overwhelming for the other person, that you're talking to. So you can kind of push them aside in that way. And the other route you could take is the route of just, basically concealing those bottled up emotions and just trying to act like, everything's fine. And, like, by choosing the second route, you can make it look like a healthy, like, relationship or friendship or whatever on the surface, but underneath the surface, well, you are still equally as miserable as before, or in some cases even more miserable, because at least when you were isolated, you didn't have to fake anything. You were obviously feeling horrible, but, if you're alone in your room, you can kind of, just fully allow yourself to feel those negative emotions and just, at the very least, not have to put any additional effort and energy to hide them. But when you're interacting with another person, well, if you're already committed to, like, acting like everything is fine, like, not only are you being miserable and unsatisfied with any potential interaction because you're not being genuine, but on top of it, you're also, like, draining your energy levels even further by just, constantly having to manually keep track of your facial expressions, your tone of voice, etc., so that you can make the whole idea of you being fine even more believable. So yeah, basically, like, regardless of which route of the two you choose, you end up either being too, like, making the, like, friendship or relationship of any kind, whatever, like, too intense, or, like, actually distant and artificial. And both of those options are equally bad. And yeah, it can be very scary because, let's say you're someone who is aware of that reality, right? And you want to find a way to fix it, but I think fixing it, of course, it is possible in certain cases. I'm not going to be pessimistic and overly negative and say, yeah, you should just accept the fact that it's over and your life is going to be miserable forever, right? Of course not. Like, with enough time and effort, I'm sure it can be fixed, or at the very least improved, right, to a certain extent, but I don't know, it seems very difficult to do, right, because you cannot fix the problem yourself because it is related to other people, but you cannot also fix it by talking to other people because talking to other people is the problem in itself, right? So, in a weird way, like, you know, it kind of feels impossible to, figure out where to turn towards to, like, seek help, right? And yeah, I just wanted to say the scariest part of it is the fact that, like, even if you choose the second route and you try to distance yourself and, maintain artificial, like, surface level connections, it still hurts deep down, right? Every time, like, when someone texts you and they're like, I don't know, like, like, for example, and again, I'm not blaming the other person. They, like, based on the information they are given, that's genuinely, like, how they should respond, right? But, for example, let's say, you went out with a friend or someone close to you, and you had a good time, at least, from, I don't know, from third point of view or something, like, from the side of things, yeah, it looks fine, but then you go home and, I don't know, like, you sink back into, I mean, not just negative thoughts, but also the negative environment around you that causes those negative thoughts in the first place, right? And let's say you are suffering a lot for, like, a few days straight, and then, like, I don't know, you decide, like, oh, maybe I will ask this friend to hang out again, right? So you text them, and they, let's say they have, like, an actual important plan, right? That they are, for example, they're going to attend a certain event, or, I don't know, visit their grandparents who are coming to visit them, like, once per year or something, right? And of course, based on the information they are given, you're just, like, just chilling, feeling perfectly fine, and you're just maybe a bit bored, and you just want to have fun with them, right? So they're just gonna be like, yeah, I'm sorry, but I kind of was planning on doing something else, and obviously it is very inappropriate and unthinkable to, in this situation, randomly decide to just, dump all of the, I don't know, feelings, emotions, and suffering on top of them, right? And they're like, oh, okay, but I just wanted to say I was actually struggling a lot, and I don't know, existence is a living hell, and I desperately need to talk to someone in a genuine way, right? It just, so, like, you can't do that, obviously, right, out of nowhere. So instead, you're kind of forced to continue the script that you had already established and just be like, yeah, no worries, bro, we can hang out, like, in 1 week from now or something, no big deal, no worries, I'm fine. So yeah, like, even if you never even got to the point where you establish, like, an actual, quote, meaningful personal connection with that person, deep down, like, you're still very desperate and very hopeful that, I don't know, one day you will be able to talk to them, like, in a way that's honest, and in a way that's actually, like, I don't know, feels human, basically. Because it is really unfortunate how, even if you replace everything in your daily life with, like, cold, robotic, like, artificial, like, things, like, the one element of human existence that you can never fully replace is just this, capability of humans to feel like intense sadness and pain and I don't know, just yeah, it's just really, really cruel, honestly, that humans work in that way, because like, it doesn't matter what you do, like, unless the whole system works perfectly and you, like, I don't know, find a way to have agency or impact consistently. As long as you cannot do that, then you will always be stuck with this sadness, pain, and desperation, and it's going to keep getting stronger and stronger. And yeah, unfortunately, as I said, the only way to break out of it is by picking Route 1, which is just actually being fully transparent and genuine, and sharing your feelings and emotions with all of their intensity. But that can obviously backfire really badly. So and it's also just, I don't know, feels like unfair thing to do to the other person, right? Like, I don't know. Thank you for listening, and I hope you have a good day. Bye.